Pull up the thing, gon' turn up. Yeah, pull up the thing, gon' turn up.
Welcome to Riddle Me This TV, where we do a bite-sized deep dive into the most questionable people, places, and things. I am Oliver, your artificial intelligence speaker for this episode. Our riddle today is simply put, the dark web. But before we begin, take a moment to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, check out our other videos, and comments are always welcome. Thank you. The dark web is the part of the World Wide Web that is only accessible by means of special software, allowing users and website operators to remain anonymous or untraceable. There are three parts of the web. The surface web, which only represents about 5% of total internet content, has sites that can be indexed and accessed from search engines, is visible to average users without using the Onion router, Tor, or any special software, and is made up of popular .com, .net, and .org sites. The deep web, which represents about 90% of total internet content, has sites that can't be accessed from search engines. Examples: email inboxes, banking information, credit card accounts. These sites are protected by authentication forms, passwords, and security firewalls. The dark web is 5% of total internet content, as sites that exist within the deep web can only be accessed with a Tor browser, and is used for both legal and illegal purposes. The dark web has always been a scary place in my mind, but it became even more so after viewing this footage provided by Aperture.
The internet wasn't made to be anonymous. Some people see this as an invasion of privacy. Others don't see a problem with it at all. But how far can we let this go before it turns bad? Funny enough, the United States government thought this too, over 20 years ago. They wanted a system that could protect their communications while online. Since the internet wasn't designed for everyone and everything to remain anonymous, in a way, anyone could intercept government transmissions while they were being relayed, and this was unacceptable. So in the mid-1990s, researchers at the US Naval Research Laboratory began working on something called onion routing. Onion routing protects any data sent by essentially wrapping it with multiple layers of encryption, where the innermost layer contains the original message. Look at it like this. Let's say you need to get a message from here to here. But in order to get that message to the end, you have to go through three midpoints. We'll call them A, B, and C. The message is then wrapped in three layers of encryption. Each layer only knows where the message previously came from and where to send it next. Nothing else. So the message, or whatever data that was originally sent, remains hidden. At each midpoint, a layer of encryption is stripped, and the new layer's information tells it where to send the message to next. Eventually, after traveling through all the points, the final layer is stripped, and the message is revealed. This type of encryption allows for data to be sent to and from multiple places without it being vulnerable to interception in between. No one else can see, only those who are supposed to. Because of onion routing, darknets like Tor can exist. Darknets operate alongside networks like the internet, but require certain software to access. Tor stands for the onion router. It's a software named after the technology that made it possible. It seems just like any other normal web browser. But through Tor and other similar darknets, you can access web pages that aren't available to the general public. The tools and requirements needed to access the dark web is enough to attract different types of users from all around the world. Links to pages don't look like youtube.com. They don't look familiar whatsoever. Instead, they tend to look like random strings of characters, ending not in .com, not in .org, but .onion. If you attempt to access these websites through any traditional web browser, it's not going to work. But when using Tor, it will. This is the dark web. Your first step into it, at least. This is the Hidden Wiki. It contains a list of hundreds of different hidden services you can find on the dark web. You can find fake US driver's licenses and passports. You can find illegal weapons. You can find drugs. It's all here. And we're barely scratching the surface. Just like on the surface web, marketplaces are extremely popular on the dark web. Here, you can buy things that you may struggle to get elsewhere, like rocket launchers. Now, I don't condone you doing any of this, but if you wanted to purchase things from sites on the dark web, here's how you would do it. Using traditional forms of payment on the dark web doesn't make much sense. Using things such as credit cards can easily be tracked, taking the anonymity of things away. And now look, you're in jail. For these reasons, virtual currency is king. This is where Bitcoin comes in. Due to Bitcoin's almost anonymous nature, its use alongside other cryptocurrencies is pivotal in running any anonymous marketplace. Create a Bitcoin wallet and exchange some of your cash for Bitcoin. You now have your anonymous currency to do almost whatever you want with it. One of the first things that comes to people's minds when the dark web is mentioned are the vast amount of sites selling illegal drugs and similar items. And yeah, those are real. If you don't know what to spend your money on yet, let me help you out. Social security numbers can go for as little as $1. This is something given to every single US citizen and can be used to steal someone else's identity. Botnets are also pretty cheap. For as little as a few dollars an hour, you can perform a distributed denial of service, or DDoS attack, to essentially take almost any website or service temporarily offline. These botnets can severely affect anyone or any business that is targeted. If you've ever played video games online before, someone's probably done this to you. You can also buy someone's medical records for as low as $50. There's also stolen credit cards for sale as well. Just buy one, rack up the bill, and then never pay it. A lot of this data isn't even for sale. It's just out there. There are websites leaking the information of politicians, celebrities, and even normal people like you and I, and there's not much you can really do about it. But even worse than this, there are some even darker things that can be carried out on the dark web. There are multiple Hitmen services claiming to be able to kill almost anyone in the world you want for as little as $5,000. Many of these have been revealed to be scams, but not all of them. But even though these may be scams, the fact that there are people out there who trust random people on the internet to carry out real murders is concerning to say the least. There's also services selling real human organs. How they acquired these, we'll never know. But if you need one, they're there. Child pornography is, unfortunately, a larger part of this than I'd like to admit. Sites such as Lolita City and Playpen have been taken down. But during their peaks, sites like these had over 200,000 users. Similar forums exist that discuss ways of abducting children from different parts of the world, where people would have discussions about how to hide them, what kind of kids they owned, and even darker things that they would do to them when no one else is around. This is only a small look into this deep and dark corner of the internet. The lack of rules here allows anything to exist. The deeper you go, the scarier things you'll find. But yet, despite all of these things that exist on the dark web, roughly half of all the funding for Tor still comes from the United States government, which is actually astounding when you consider the reputation that the dark web has. A lot of people that have been arrested and thrown in prison for illegal activities on the dark web don't even seem physically threatening whatsoever. But if you can run a drug empire online, or hire hitmen for a couple Bitcoin without ever having to put yourself in danger, you might not have to be. These are people you could see walking down the street. These are people that are in line behind you at the grocery store. They seem just like normal people, and you wouldn't even know what they're a part of just by looking at them. The dark web is portrayed as the vast criminal underground where millions of the worst people in society lurk. And while this is partly true, it's not entirely that. It's been claimed that there is only around 2 to 10,000 of these hidden services on the dark web, with only a little over half of them being deemed illicit content. But then again, these numbers cannot be taken as fact because, well, hidden services are by design meant to be hidden. Out of these few thousand websites, only less than 6% of people who use Tor actually use these hidden services. That's less than 120,000 people. Out of the billions of people who use the internet, 100,000 use the dark web. Out of the billions of websites that exist, a few thousand of them are deemed illicit. This is just a drop of water in the ocean. There's no surprise that not everyone in the world is as genuine as they may seem. But that's the gamble you take. That's the price you pay for this. There are some things that the average person just shouldn't see. And if you don't want to fall victim to this, I'd stay away from the dark web. Whether or not you believe it's as bad as it's made out to be, if this is the first time you're hearing about it, you probably don't know what you're getting into. And once you're in, you aren't leaving.
Wow, Oliver, that's scary.
Yes, it is. The link to the full dark web footage will be provided in the comments below.
Pull up the single turn up. Yeah, pull up the single turn up.